So when creating this character selection screen, I first of all clicked create a new PSD, and I had to change some of the settings. So I I had to change it to pixels because if it's not in pixels, it wouldn't work. And then it's 1920 by 1080. Make sure it's landscape because I might have said the dimensions the wrong way around, but you can see in the video what I've done. So I then started off by creating a new layer because the background you always leave normally, because if you want like if you do a PNG, it will remove the background. So I then started off by going to brushes, selecting a brush, changing the size to the size I wanted. I then changed the color to black because I wanted a black frame around the actual where the characters would be. So I drew a straight line across, but not too far, just enough. Like you can measure it out. You can make it as big as you want to start off with, but obviously we're making it so they're kind of portrait. And I then made this shape just by going down. You can do this by clicking shift. So when you shift click and drag, it will actually make straighter lines. I zoomed in to check for any like unwanted outline bits, so if they went over a bit too much. So then I used the rubber to erase them, so like this, and just round off the corners a bit to make it look more smooth. When I zoomed out, I then I'm pretty sure, I copied and pasted. Well, first of all, I changed the name to 1. You don't need to actually change the names to 1 to start off with. I accidentally did because I didn't realize they're all going to be named 1. Do it after. So we are going to be doing, I think it was 10 or something like that. No, 12. So you're doing 12 in total for me. You could do as many as you want. Obviously, my size, they're all going to be the same size. So having an even number makes it easier because they can all be the same size. If you do have an odd number, still make them all the same size, but just beware it might not mirror or anything like that, and you have to think about the layout as well. So I then changed all the names to the numbers after I've copied and pasted it all. I'm pretty sure you'll be seeing here. So I changed all the numbers, and in a minute I will start to move them into the positions that I would like them to be, and that is using the arrow tool, so the 4 arrows, and I just drag them into the positions I want. They're all the same size currently, and I also make sure they're the same space between. At the moment I haven't done that, but as you can see there's like a pink line like barrier. Then that's how I know, oh, they're all the same distance apart. And then I just also check along the top for the pink line to go across, because once that is across I can then be like, oh, they're all the same height. And yep, just doing it all with all of them. So there is 6 on the top and there will be 6 on the bottom as well. And again, it's just checking them pink lines, making sure they're all equal. And once I've done the top line, it was much easier to do the bottom line. If you do make a mistake, Control Z or Command Z if you're on Mac, just because I'm using Windows at the moment, but when I'm at college I do use a Mac, so it is Command Z or Z. And now it's just checking again, make sure all of them are equal. One thing I'm going to tell you beforehand, before I get into the painting side of things, I did use a brush set that I found on the internet. I will leave the link in the description because it is a very handy brush set. And you can do like, because I'm heavily inspired by Bob Ross, you can do a lot of really great Bob Ross style. Now what we're going to do is going to select all of them and free transform, and then, well, not select all of them, select each individual one, sorry, free transform, and then flip. So when you flip it, we're only going to flip half of them, or we were going to flip half of them, but we can just copy and paste them three, because once we got them all, so we just select all the three that were flipped, and then we bring it down, copy paste it, so therefore it is all equal still, same distance apart. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a group, which pretty much, I think I create a group. I can't remember if I did. I'm certain I did. But what a group does is like a little folder. It keeps it all in a folder so you can easily access it, but also have less windows, showing. So as you see, I'm kind of renumbering them again, just making sure they're all in order. Making them in order makes it so much easier. Yeah, now I select them all, and I first of all drag them all into like where I want them to be. Like, so I want them to be in the center, so I kind of like try and find the center. Which is about there. And you can use arrow keys to also adjust. So I first will use my mouse, and then I used arrow keys. Because arrow keys just give it, like, they move it slightly. They don't, like with the actual mouse, it kind of clicks into place. Whereas with the arrow keys, you're moving it like pixel by pixel. Now I'm putting it into a group, so I'm put into a folder. So they're in a folder like so. We then name the folder. I'm pretty sure I named it just like frames or something like that. You just name it like whatever you want, but something obvious so you know what you're doing. You can then close that down because you no longer need it. And then you can also turn off the visibility in a second after we put a new layer in, because we're not going to be painting on the background layer. So we remove that layer, and on the background layer we then, I can't remember, I have to watch the video while doing this. So I then go to the colours and change the colours to whatever colour you want. I kind of went with the orangey basics, like, and white. So then I went to the gradient effects and had orange to white put in. And you pretty much just play around with it until you get the gradient you feel you want. I was thinking about doing orange and black to make it more of a nighttime, but I went with the day, like kind of sunrise sort of thing. So I stuck with orange and white. Then I inserted another new layer. Set it to black. Went to my brush settings, but I opened the brush file so I can actually go to the brush presets that I found. These are the ones I downloaded, and as you can see, there's a lot of different brushes there. So to start off with, I started off with the mountains. So I wanted just first of all a standard brush, which I think I just stuck with the standard brush anyway. And I drew triangles. Well, not full triangles, but like kind of like what you'd expect mountains to be, like, but they're quite straight to start off with. They're always going to be straight to start off with, because you then add the detail a bit later when it comes to using a brush. So then on another layer, because we're not going to be using this layer, this is just like outlines, so we know where the mountain is going to be. So on the next layer, we are then going to change the colours to a slight grey, because you want it to look like snow almost, so it's not going to be like a proper white, but also not too grey either. So you want a slight grey. Then go to the brush presets by clicking on that folder, and then click on brushes, and go to palette knife. Palette knife is a very good tool when doing snow. Again, this was inspired by Bob Ross, and what you're doing is you're just dragging it down. It's going to only produce a small amount, but you're just going to, like, you can obviously increase it to make a larger amount come out, but that means a little more like pixels will show a bit. So I zoom in because I want to see what I'm doing, and I want you to see how it works. So when I go back onto the brushes, there we go. So I hide the menus. You don't really need the menus showing all the time. You could put the menus on the side there. And then we go back onto the brush now. So as you can see, it's kind of like a square, and we're just going to keep scraping down. But we're not going to go straight down. We're going to go at an angle. And we're going to keep going to that angle. I accidentally did a couple upstrokes. You don't really need to do them. It's best to do the downstrokes, because the upstrokes, as you can see, when you do it, it kind of fades out at the bottom. So this is where I kind of like scale it up a bit. So it doesn't matter if you do scale it up, it does work still. As you can see, I'm kind of leaving this kind of edge here, but still kind of almost overlapping it a little bit and making it look a bit rough, because mountains aren't perfect or anything like that. They're not perfect triangles. And I'm going to keep going all the way down to the bottom of the mountain, and keep going at this consistent angle, because I don't want to be going straight down. When you go to an angle, you can like see it makes a slope more. And I'm doing the same with the other mountain. As you can see, I'm going, like, I've sped it up so you don't have to wait, and then change the color to a darker grey. The darker grey is going to be for the other side of the mountain where the light does not quite hit as strong. So as you can see, I'm doing the same thing but the other way. So it's going to be, and I do overlap it. As you can see, I kind of like change bits to it and all that sort of stuff. I then get rid of the the lines that I did before, because you don't need them anymore. And as you can see, it's still kind of rough, and then I'm adding kind of greys in it a little bit. You can do this every now and then, just sort of like add a bit of like bump to it. And now I'm doing the tree, so I'm going into the brushes, and there is actually a tree brush set. So I then thought it would be a good idea to do black and white to sort of show off distance, but I did change my mind. I didn't like it too much. So what I ended up doing was I did change it to a green. I changed it to a dark green, but with this, so as you see, I'm still trying with the blacks and all that sort of stuff, but it's just not working. Like, so to do this, you can change both your colors. So there'll be the lighter color and the darker color. I suggest changing them both. I think I did keep the blacks in there, the black ones, but I just didn't like it too much. So I did change it to green, and a lighter green as well. The lighter green always going to be at the front. So like this. And then you're just going to like keep clicking all over it. But yeah, I did change them in the future. And you're just going to keep spamming it. Even go up the mountain, make them look bigger and all that sort of stuff. Change the brush size as well. Obviously, the brush sizes change already. It does it automatically. But you're just going to keep going with it. And you're going to keep adding darker ones in as well. So you can just change the settings and all that sort of stuff. And you see, I did change them all to green there. And even added the darker ones in there as well. Because there's always going to be darker ones. There's not going to be always perfect lights and that. I then went to the brushes again, which I now put on the side there. And I found, I'm pretty sure it was the shimmer, was it? Or what was it? Or am I doing the trees? I might be doing the trees. Yeah, I think I'm... Wait, let's see. Yeah, I'm doing the trees. So I used the bark brush, and then I changed it to brown. So this is I kind of angled this tree. I didn't want it to be a straight tree because not all trees are perfectly straight. So I kind of just angled it a bit. and then kind of made another one at a different angle. Um, as Bob Ross would say, they always have to have friends, so make it have a friend. And then I've done one somewhere like on the other side as well, because I thought you can't just have two trees in the foreground, maybe a third one. So I did end up adding another tree and changing the brush size at another angle, coming from the corner this time, and just drawing up. Then I found like foliage or something like that. There's like loads of different like leaves, so just play around with them, see what ones you like. Obviously change them to like green, but a different kind of green to the ones in the background, because you don't want them overlapping or clashing. You want a different, like, you want it to stand out a bit more. So I'm pretty sure I went with a darker green, or like just slightly different. And I kind of just kept clicking and playing around with it to sort of make these evergreen trees. So I just, as you can see, I'm kind of bringing it out, but again making it smaller at the top, and just kind of bringing it down, playing around with it, bringing leaves out every now and then, because always leaves will come out. And you don't have to go all the way to the bottom, because you are going to be using bushes to then cover the bottom as well, and just adding them darker leaves as well. There's always going to be the darker leaves on one side, even adding them on the other side as well, but there's not going to be as many on the other side. And doing the same with the other trees as well. You're just going to keep doing it. You can play around again with the leaves. You don't have to have the exact same leaves, but I think I ended up staying with the same leaves and just doing the same thing. So I started with the darker leaves. It doesn't matter what one you start with this, because this is Photoshop. If you were painting, you'd start off with probably the darker leaves, I can imagine, and then putting the lighter ones on. And yeah, I'm just sort of bringing it down, like clicking randomly. It's not precise or anything like that. Just making it what I think looks like a tree, and then adding the lighter ones. So I'm adding the lighter ones now on the other tree, because I'm doing both trees at the same time. So as you can see, it kind of like overlaps, and you're really making the one in the front pop more, and saying this one hits the light most, but you're still going to add them dark colors in it, because they're not always going to be like perfect bright colors because of shading in it. So I don't think I ended up changing it, which might have been a mistake. So as you see, I kind of got rid of the green and brought the layer of the character select forward, so you can actually see what it would look like in the background. So you won't actually see little bits of these, because they'll be covered by pictures, because it's going to be a character select thing. But I still want you to get the hint of the background there. So I then remove the, but click the eye. When you click the eye, it just sort of hides it. And then I'm sorting out the layers. What was my mistake is that I didn't label the layers. I should have labeled them instead of being like, oh, this is layer 1, 2, 3. If I labeled them, been like, this is the mountains, this is the trees, and that, it would have been easier to find them. That is one mistake on my behalf. I really recommend labeling them. This time I am doing the water, so therefore I'm pretty sure, a different type of brush. I can't quite remember what it's called. Oh no, wait, I'm doing the grass, sorry. So the grass is quite easy. So again, you're going to use green, but it's going to be a different shade of green, so it doesn't clash with the trees. And you're just going to keep clicking. It changes size and direction, so therefore it helps you a lot. And you're just going to keep filling it in as much as you can. You don't really to see the back, like the white or orange or anything like that in between it. And you're just going to keep going like all the way, and then you can even change the colors and just kind of add the darker ones in as well, so it looks like actual grass, because all grass is not going to be one solid green. So I'm just doing that so I can see where they are, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, so here's where I added the darker ones, and even though you're not really going to see this kind of color because it's going to be hidden by the two other trees, it's still better to do it, because just in case you can see through the trees. I'm going to be doing the water, so I'm changing the greens to blue. So I'm having more of a light blue because it's daytime, so that's where the like that's going to be the color of the water. So I use this kind of like, it's not cloudy, but it's like a shimmer sort of thing, and I'm just going to be like kind of clicking every now and then, and as you can see, it kind of adds the two different blues together to make the water, which is like really good, because it's like, that's what you want. You want to change both the colors for all of this, because you want the different colors in there to make it look more realistic. So as you see, I'm just kind of like slowly building a pond almost. So and again, you don't need to go all the way to the bottom. You can add the foliage later. You will be adding foliage, and then I'm just going to add the lighter blue, like kind of like a pastel blue. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go roughly in the middle, but you can go at an angle or whatnot, and just kind of make a shimmer. This is where the light's hitting, and it's like adding that sort of lighting to it. And you're going to make it come to a point almost. So it's not going to be like a perfect point, but it's going to be like in the middle, just sort of like coming to a point, getting wider at one end and thinner at the other end. So now I think I'm going to be doing the bushes, I'm pretty sure. So again, changing the greens and kind of making a different sort of like shades, so they're not going to be exact. Oh no, I'm still adding trees, sorry. But this time smaller trees, and bigger trees, because you want more in the background, because as you see there's quite an empty space over there. So you're kind of just making bigger trees and all that sort of stuff. And it just like makes it look like there's hills and all that sort of stuff in there. Making sure there's more down the front as well, so it doesn't look like the water just comes from nowhere, making it look like land still. And now we're going to add the foliage, so it's just going to be all like covering. So as you see, I'm changing the colours slightly darker and all that sort of stuff, and just kind of like adding in like bushes around the trees and around the pond in the foreground, not the background. So I've made it darker because it's going to be covered by the tree. So these are going to be like ones that grow underneath the tree or something like that. And again, just changing them slightly, getting darker, going onto a new layer, just kind of building it up, making it look like it's in front of the tree. And as you can see, it kind of brings it out more, so you see the tree behind it, and kind of coming down at that angle, so you can still see the pond, but not like it's not going to cover it all. And again, I'm doing the same on the other side, and kind of just like leaving an open area so you still see the pond, but not like fully open where it's like you see any gaps. And again, just kind of building it up around the tree. I think at this point I was downloading the images because I realized I didn't have the images downloaded. So now I've brought back the actual frames for the pictures. I'm then going to create a I select them and I'm starting to scale them because I realized that's not the size I wanted. You can scale them as much as you want and just sort of change it. I'm leaving a gap on the top because I'm going to be adding a title as well. So, because I want it to be obvious that it is a character select screen, so I'm just going to be having the words character select screen using text. So I'm pretty sure here, I'm still waiting for the images to download, so it's just going to take a couple of seconds. I will then copy and paste it, so I'll go into the files, drag and drop. Oh wait, no, so here I'm grouping it again. So this is the background group, so this is all like, so we know this here is the background, this here is where the frames are. But also in the frames, I'm pretty sure I also put the people. But I'm only going to show you one person, which will be me, because even though you will see them in the final clip, I just thought doing me would be easier. But now we're going to be doing the text, so I accidentally put the text in the frame thing, but as you can see, I'm typing out select character. And then I'm going to be playing around with the fonts to see what fonts I like, and then changing the colors and stuff like that. So as you see, I highlight it all, and then I'm going through the fonts now. So click the down arrow, and then easiest way is to kind of hover over one and then use the down arrow, and you can find the one you want. Like, then you need to memorize the name, and then you can just kind of like, if you are like can move your mouse onto it, you can, or you might have to scroll down and reselect it. But I'm looking for like a quite almost Greeky type of font, which I did find. I found it here. I then selected it, closed that down. I made a mistake, so you can just delete it. I then moved it to the center, changed the font size up, realized it was too big, so I then scaled it down. And you're pretty much just making it try to fit the whole screen, so it's not going to miss any characters or anything like that. And then we just move it to the point we want. So I even added an exclamation mark to sort of say, you need to do it, you need to select it. I moved it out of the folder because I didn't mean to put it in the folder in the first place. Close the folder. On a new layer, I changed the colors to kind of like a goldy color, so it's like a light yellow and a darker yellow. So then it's like kind of made the color of gold. It's kind of hard to get the color of gold exact. And as you see, I was using the gradient effect again, but this time changing the settings, so there's like a white strip with a yellow strip in the middle. So and I'm just playing around with it, as you can see, to sort of get the right lighting. I think I settled for this one. Double clicked it, beveled and emboss, and just changed these settings to sort of make it look more like a gold bar almost. But then I realised I don't think it actually works like that. But I gave it a go. Played around with the texturing as well. Realize you don't really need texturing or the contour, don't bother with that. Clicked OK, and then dragged it underneath the text layer so you can still see this the character select. Highlighted it all and kind of just moved it to the size of the like so. And then click the arrow and just sort of scale it again further. Then clicked the text layer and then the magic wand. And then selected around the outside and then selected the insides of the A, R, well the A and R's because they're the only closed off areas because I needed the little center bits. Selected that, the gold one, and deleted it. This then I could remove the text and then I'll have a golden character select. As you see, it didn't select the A properly, so I've redone it. And reselected the middle bits. To make it easier, you can zoom in because it would make it so much easier. And then I can hide the text layer and I've got a nice golden font. Now I'm going to bring in the picture to, oh no, I'm still changing the sizes and that. So you just change the size to how you want it, making sure you can see it, it's visible. At one point I will bring in the characters, I can't remember quite when. So I'm only going to bring in one, but it's the same process all the way through. So now I brought in the picture of me. I brought it below the file of frames, so then I could scale it. So I free transformed, scaled it to the size of the frame, but I wanted you to still see my neck and a bit of my shoulder. So I left it like that. Then what I've done is I selected onto that, used the magic wand and selected, I think I had to select the right frame as well, so I found the frame that I wanted, select the inside, and then what you do is you can go to I select the outside, sorry. You could set the inside in reverse, or you could set the outside and kind of just rub it out, or delete if you go on the actual picture, but I think I rubbed it out. Just sort of change the size, and it's kind of got like a little corner missing off there, but you can easily fill that in, color it in black. It's just right at the bottom. Then what I done, so I'm looking for something. I think it is the inverse thing, is it? Yeah, so this is the inverse. So you can just kind of like, this time it gets the inside. And as you see, I'm now colouring in that bit black. So I'm just using a normal standard like brush for that. And as you see, I've got the other colour selected, so I just sort of change it to black still and sorted it out. But I think it was the brush I was using that wasn't selecting the right colour. But I did end up sorting it out. Then, so yeah, I think here that's where I sort it out. So it's just like a nice black little bit on the thing, and then for the final bit to get rid of the background of the person, I did use the wand tool again, and because it's all grey, this background, it was easier. So you just select it and delete it as well. Again, I'm still trying to sort out the black on it. I did realise what was happening though. So just play around with the settings. But yeah, this is the point where I do select the background, so the grey, and as you see, it goes around my head, and I can just delete it like that. It's gone.